Today's Free Comic Book Day. Let's watch.
It could mean actual advances in the field of science.
It's almost as if you've been doing too much science.
Let's go!
It was a cloudy, semi-rainy day in Austin, Texas. We had a little bit of a later start this morning, leaving to go to the first comic book store around noon. Melanie joined me, even though she's not really into collecting comic books herself. By the time we got closer to the store, the rain was definitely starting to pick up a little bit. Our first stop was Austin Books' Sidekick store. This is a companion store to Austin Books and Comics, and where they were keeping all of their free comics this year. The line was huge, much longer than it has been in previous years when I've come here. Probably because of the later start that I had this morning. I figured at some point this line would have to start moving. Once inside, the table circled around to form a loop with just piles and piles of free comics to choose from. The rule this year was that everyone can choose 10 issues each. Melanie always joins me to add any more comics that I want to her pile if I've already reached my limit. This year I had my eyes set on classic series like Popeye and Johnny Quest, but there were other titles that looked interesting too. One of my favorite things about comic events is seeing the variety of people that it draws. I especially like seeing old people and young people getting excited about the same hobby. I noticed I was picking up titles pretty quickly, and I had barely even started going around the table. I think this happened to a bunch of people though, because at the end of the line, I saw people trying to bring their stack of comics down to 10. Next, we went to Outlaw Moon, which was right next door. Outlaw Moon's not a comic shop per se, but I always enjoy coming here when I'm in the neighborhood. This place essentially has a bunch of card games, board games, and all sorts of vintage collectibles. They do tabletop gaming too, but I'm more interested in the vintage stuff. If I had all the money and space in the world, I would really consider buying everything in this store. It feels like a treasure hunt every time I come in here. They had some of these old board games for sale, which I thought was pretty cool. The vintage collectibles is where they get me. I love collecting 80s and 90s pop culture stuff, but some of this is even older than that. It's always a surprise to see what they're going to have on their shelves. Like this, for example. I've never seen so many Smurfs. I don't think I even knew Smurfs had such a huge variety of collectibles. They had a whole Smurf village here. And of course, I got super excited to see Garbage Pail Kids. Gross things were the coolest when I was a kid, and Garbage Pail Kids rode that gross wave all the way to the bank. They had such a variety too. It was great to see them all in one place. In the same shopping center is a place called Guzu Gallery. Guzu Gallery also sells collectibles, but their focus seems to be more on modern and Japanese collectibles. So you'll see a lot of stuff like Ultraman, Dragon Ball, Godzilla, but they also have a healthy selection of 80s horror, which is right up my alley too. And even the old Universal Classic Monsters has some stuff on display. Again, if I had all the money and space. I was happy to see this orange Piccolo from Dragon Ball Superhero. They sell this off-brand cereal, which I had never really seen before. I was thinking about picking some up, but it was like $60 or $70. I was kind of disappointed to learn this isn't an actual cereal, but just a box for a collectible figurine inside. The other thing about Guzu Gallery is that it's also an actual art gallery. They display work from local artists, and the collections tend to match the merchandise that the store sells. So you'll see a lot of paintings based on different fandoms and pop culture figures, and it's all for sale. I pretend to be an admirer of fine art. And last but not least was Austin Books and Comics, which is right next door to Guzu Gallery. All these stores are in the same little block of buildings, so it's essentially a one-stop shop for people like me. And of course, it was bumping today. They have so many things here. No matter what you're into, chances are they will have it here. I was on a retro hunt today, so I was on the lookout for anything vintage. The older, the better. They had this spinner rack that was loaded up with great older comics. I really couldn't believe it. I really cleaned up here. This place is actually pretty large for a comic book store too, and it's dense. If you're in Austin and you have some time to kill, this is the place to do it. All right, let's go home and check out what I got.